A pleasant day to everyone. We are third-year students from Colegio de San Juan de Letran, presenting to you the Philippines' current social issue on the human rights violation during the COVID-19 pandemic using the See Judge Act method.
Soon after the COVID-19 quarantines and lockdowns started over a year ago, several reports concerning human rights abuses and violations sparked from the government's oppressive approach to the pandemic situation, in which different types of quarantines and lockdowns were imposed to contain the spread of the virus.
The quarantine lockdown was implemented by the government hastily as one of their response to the rapid spread of the said virus, that they were not able to analyze nor foresee any problems which could have arisen. They were not able to discuss and inform thoroughly the local government units of the proper implementation of the lockdown and the curfew, resulting to a number of curfew violators. The government did not have any form of action or response to the rise of news where human rights was abused in the punishment of a number of LGUs to the curfew violators.
Many individuals got arrested by local officials for violating curfew hours. Based on the reports the victims made, they were punished and humiliated in an inhumane manner, such as the LGBT people being forced to dance and do lewd acts with each other in public for their own entertainment only.
There was also an instance where a poor father went out during curfew hours to buy food for his starving children and he got arrested and detained for 30 days. The father expressed his regret for being uninformed about the curfew, for it has caused his detainment. He cannot post bail because he barely has money which was originally allotted for the supposed meal of his children.
No one, especially those who hold a higher power in our society, have the privilege nor the right to treat their fellow humans poorly in any way. Every human person has the rights and duties that are bound by legal limits. Thus, even the authorities too have limited power whose duty is to support and protect the public.
Regardless of the reasons as to why people have violated the curfew, they should not have been treated in such an inhumane way. It is enraging to see people who may have been clueless about the curfew or not fully aware of their rights to be disrespected and be forced to do such acts, which are solely for the entertainment of the authorities who have arrested them. Regardless if it is for shaming purposes or to serve as a lesson, the dignity of the human person should never be compromised, moreover by a competent authority.
One of the reasons why this situation exists is because there are several authorities who abuse their power. They give cruel and harsh treatment to the violators. Another reason is that there was no clear protocol given to the government authorities in terms of arresting the violators. So LGUs created their own ways of giving consequences to the violators within their scope.
The root cause of this situation is the lack of a guidance and support from the government. If the government was able to give all the people's needs amidst the pandemic, no one would risk going out just to be able to provide necessities for their families. Government authorities are the ones in charge of protecting the people in custody, but instead, they did not adhere to the fundamental rights of the said violators.
Diving deeper into the situation, there are a lot of factors that signal the human rights violation being experienced during this pandemic. The right to life is the most important one being violated. Being put into these unfortunate times, there should be more opportunities for people to adjust to the situation. The authorities are wrong to abuse their power, ultimately resulting in events that are comparable to what had happened during martial law. More than 100,000 had been arrested due to so-called quarantine violations. Many experienced physical violence including torture, such as being placed in dog cages, being tied and left under the heat of the sun, hit with the police batons, or placed in coffins to supposedly teach them a lesson. Many were detained in already overcrowded jails, as the Philippines has a 1,500% overcapacity rate in jails, making these places ticking time bombs for the virus. In addition to those aforementioned, it has also inadvertently caused a lot of violations to the rights of other people as well. Contact tracing information, which was supposed to be solely used for the said purpose, has also been a way to scam and make other malicious acts, which violates the right to privacy of the people. The government also lacked focus and actions towards ensuring that the youth had enough resources and opportunities to study amidst the situation. The right to education has also been compromised, making the youth really suffer from this situation.
Proverbs chapter 31 verse 8 to 9 said that, "Open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all who are destitute. Open your mouth, judge righteously, defend the rights of the poor and needy." With everything that has been reported, there is a clear sign that what is written in the passage is not followed. The public outcry has definitely not been heard, leading to their needs or rights being either violated or overlooked. Our government, the ones who must be providing and having a plan for such situations, are still turning a blind eye and using the situation to their favor.
The key principle from the Catholic social teaching applicable to this social issue is the rights and responsibilities. Human dignity and a healthy community can only be achieved if human rights and obligations are respected. In these current situations where everyone's rights are being affected, it is important for all of us to be responsible people who are aware of our rights and instill the same respect to others. Such implies that you are concerned about the rights of others too.
As long as the world is constantly revolving, there's still hope to make a change and we can still continue going further. Managing a counter plan will help us secure one another during scarce times. Thus, a tactical solution that addresses the root cause of human rights violations and abuses can be by willingly extending monetary donations and groceries or partnering with LGUs to provide for our fellow citizens, especially the less fortunate who need our help during a health crisis like COVID-19. All of us are adversely affected, but instead of waiting and relying on the government response, we should form groups and organize campaigns for the sole purpose of avoiding the increase of human rights abuses and violations. I also believe that the government should discontinue irrelevant pandemic mandates or at least ease them, such as curfew hours, and let the people work so they can provide for their families.
Human rights law guarantees everyone the right to the highest attainable standard of health and obligates government to take steps to prevent threats to public health and to provide medical care to those who need it. Arresting people for curfew violation and other government-imposed violation related to COVID-19 restriction is counterproductive if the police will place detainees in crowded detention facilities. For instance, as a Retinite who is molded to be a voice other people, we do not tolerate this kind of abuses. Therefore, I can do help, or at least the chances of people getting arrested is that I can organize a donation drive or gather sponsorship to provide the basic necessities for the people, especially for the less fortunate.